and tell us a little bit about Archrock and yourself.
Okay, my name's Bob Shuttleworth. I've been with the company 20 years now. Started with this company as a field tech, worked my way up from a field tech to a lead hand, from a lead hand to a manager, and from manager where I'm at right now today, which is a salesperson. Our company is not well known, a company in this area, because we've changed hands so many times. We've started out as Hanover, we merged from Hanover to Universal, we became Exterran, and now we are, Archrock. Uh, what we do is we're one of the largest providers in the area. We take care of gas compression equipment. We take care of customer-owned stuff. We take care of our own stuff. Our job is to basically move gas from the ground to the sales points. Those sales points actually what end up getting into your house at the end of the day. And in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Okay, so that works. Now, moving forward with this, this interview is really geared towards interviews
Mhm.
and helping our students develop skills to do well in interviews. So with that, what type of questions would you ask, or question would you ask students? And then what are you looking for when they respond to that question when they go into an interview?
Okay, when a student comes into an interview, somebody directly out of high school, we're looking for three things. We're looking for punctuality, we're looking for work ethic, and we're looking for attention to detail. Those are the three things we're really looking for. So the first place we would look at is on the resume. We want to highlight those three things when the resume comes in. Uh, that gets our attention to be able to actually get them down to sit and talk about it. When they come into the interview, they need to be ready to expand upon that. So when they're talking about punctuality, I want them to expand upon real life situations about, how they can prove to me that they've been punctual in their life, like attendance at school. It's a great one. If I'm sitting there, I want to know if you're going to be to work on time. Did you make it to school every day? That's very important to us. When it comes to attention to detail, I'm looking for things like, well, how was their grades were. That shows me how what their attention to detail, getting things done, and it also gives me a little bit of knowledge about their work ethic. So being able to expand upon those things and be able to talk about it, and in that real life situations about how they did, and all the three of those criteria is really important to us when we're sitting there interviewing the youth when they come out of the schools.
Okay. And so, in terms of when they expand upon it, can you give us an example of maybe a way they could expand upon it to pull upon their own personal life?
You sit there and talk about it. So you come in, and so if I ask you, what is your work ethic like? You can talk about, you can use athletics as a specific one. You can come in and say, I played football for X amount of years. Let's say it's a 4-year athlete in high school, made every practice, made every workout event, uh, made every day at school. I was able to increase my weights from X to Y, from 10 pounds to 100 pounds, or whatever it is that shows dedication to what you're doing. You can talk about your grades. Yeah, I came in there and you maintained a certain grade level. Let's say it's a 3.5 throughout my entire high school career, and what you had to do to get that, maintain that grade point level. Not just, hey, I came in and I had a 3.5. Well, what did you have to do? What was your study ethic like? Every night I went home and I sat and I made sure I spent 2 hours a night taking care of schoolwork. You made sure all assignments were either ahead or on time at all times. Things like that's a good way to expand upon how you can prove what you've done.
All right. So really great advice there. Now, body language really plays a big factor into interviews. So as you're seeing them respond, what are you paying attention to?
Looking for them to be involved in the meeting. So when they're sitting there on the other side of the table, I don't want them. So you don't want the lackadaisical person. I don't want them slouched in the chair. I don't want them with their arms crossed. I don't want them staring at the floor. I want them to be actively engaged in the meeting. I want them to be sitting up, showing both feet on the ground, hands maybe craps just claps together, sitting on your lap, and attentive to what I'm saying, and then also taking time to think about what they're going to say and just not spitting something out. You can tell when somebody's taking the time to rehearse something for what they expect to have happen. I want them to take the time to really think about and put some thought into, and it's okay to have an awkward pause or a little bit of silence, just so you take the time to think about exactly what you're going to say, and and bring it out. But the body language is important because you want to be actively engaged. You want to be sit up. You want to be eye contact with the person you're talking with. and you want to be involved. You don't want to be that person that's not just, basically doing this. You're over there, I'm talking over here. My eyes, I'm never making that contact. I'm sitting here like this. We want that body language to be open and engaged.
All right, great advice. So last question I have for you is, our high school students, they're getting on the verge of getting into the career, starting their adult life and their careers. What advice would you give them, that you would offer in terms of, what we've discussed? What personal advice would you have?
They got to learn how to network. They're going to go into a lot of businesses today, and those businesses are going to tell them that, hey, you got to go apply online. Everything's online. They're trying to get rid of the personal side of hiring people. But you need to learn how to network. Networking within your community is extremely important. You've got to know the people in your community to be able to help get you into the community. So go to the businesses you want to go to. Come to an Archrock and knock on the door, and don't come and say, hey, I want a job. Say, hey, I want to get a job in this type of industry. I'd like to learn about it a little bit. And I sit down with somebody and ask them a few questions. Don't be afraid to get out of that comfort zone and come down and ask somebody and get in that new situation, because those things are the things that build relationships and that help you understand exactly what you're getting into before you get there. Too many kids nowadays come out and say, hey, I want to get into the oil field and I'm going to start out as a mechanic. And then when they get out in that field, it's like, it's a shocker of what we actually do out there and what the tempo rate is and everything else. Take the time, put the interest in. You'd be surprised at how many companies somebody will come down and say, take the time to talk to you and tell you exactly what we do, how we do it, and what you can expect.
Oh, nice. So wonderful, wonderful advice. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for Art Rock taking the time, to give this valuable information to our students.
This is Denny Williams. I work for Archrock. I've been here at this time probably 24 years. I came into this business out of the natural, or the, let me change that. Came into the natural gas business out of the diesel truck business. I was working on diesel trucks and decided I wanted a career change. That diesel wasn't working for me in the shop anymore. I wanted to be outside, and I got into this, and to this point, I've been working as a manager now since 2006, and all the years before that, from 1994 to then, we're out in the field mechanicking, and I can say I enjoyed that a lot. It's been a very mind-opening experience because you get to deal with the climate, you get to deal with being outside in the wonderful hills and in the mountains and stuff. You get to work on some really big equipment, some small equipment, some difficult stuff, but above all, you work with a lot of really good people, and it opens your eyes to what's out there in the world. I really enjoy what I do, and I'll do it until I retire. So, but to this point, a lot of work with a lot of young people. Brought a lot of young people into the business, with a lot of senior people. They all seem to really enjoy being out in the field. They all seem to like going out there and being alone a lot, working a lot together, gaining the knowledge that each different circumstance brings, and it kind of it broadens their mindset a lot, really does. But that's what I got into. I wanted to work in the field, and I enjoy it now. It's one of those things that, as a career, I don't think I probably would have preferred staying in anything else uh, for this long. You know, for this long. When I retire, I'll be in there 27 years, and it'll all be worth it.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Danny. I'm going to put you on the spot. I have one more question.
Okay.
Is students that are graduating, leaving high school, looking to venture into a new career, what if you had one piece of advice to give them? What would you tell them right now?
I would say anything you apply for, apply to that job. If you go to a job, you go into it willing to give it 110% until you figure out if that is the career choice you want long term. But give it 110% and be open and honest with who you're working for, because that's the best way you gain good, solid, positive knowledge. is just being upfront and giving it your all, and expecting who you work for to be open and honest with you and giving you 110%. That's what I would shoot for.
All right, Bob, take us through the shop.
All right, we'll start right down here at the bottom left corner. You can take a look. This is where we overhaul all of our large engines. All of our 7042 Waukesha's happen down here. We have a little turntable down there that we hook it up to. You see it right there on the right-hand side of this first bay. We can actually hook these large engines up to them. We can turn them, flip them upside down, do everything we need to them on that stand. Right next to it, that stand sitting right next to it, that's where we hang all our pistons and rod assemblies prior to assembly. It's just a nice, neat way to try to be able to keep our work separated. The second bay next to it, right underneath those tarps, are a couple of blocks that we just got back from manufacturing that are sitting ready to be rebuilt, but we're not ready to get to that part of the process yet. The rest of this area is being taken care of is our make-readies. We're doing make-readies in here right now. What a make-ready is where we bring a unit in, bring it to a like-new condition. So basically, we're overhauling all of this stuff. If you look at that last unit in the back left bay over here, it's missing the engine right now. It's a compressor on the back half. It's pulled apart. We're in the process of rebuilding it and making it like new. And the engine is one of those ones under the tarp right now. We're going to rebuild it, put it back in, get that thing like reconditioned all the way up, paint it, and then we'll test run it in here. We have everything we need to be able to test run the unit. We have enough natural gas to be able to supply fuel gas for it. We have oil tanks sitting outside to be able to supply oil. We have coolant tanks, everything we need to be able to make sure that unit can run and leave this facility basically it's just like you bought it fresh off the showroom floor. Then if you pan around, we've got another unit, a sister unit. We call it sister unit because it's exactly like the other one. We've got a sister unit to it over there. You can see they're doing a little bit of welding on the back side, trying to get doing some piping modifications on it. And that's the one we're working on right now. Other than that, that is what we do in this shop. We do have a test facility, test stand all the way in that back left corner. So if we have an engine overhaul that happens down here that does not have a package to go along with it. So the package is what we're looking at, though, what I refer to as a unit. If it does not have a package to stick it back on to run it, we've got a test stand all the way in that far back left corner where we set the engines down. We run them as a standalone unit, just to make sure we get all our bugs worked out before they leave to the field. And other than that, that's pretty much what the shop is.
All right. Thank you, Bob.